Hi, Julie Jones from SSB Performance, Smarter, Stronger, Better Mindset Training here with this week's Mindset Made Simple Tip of the Week. And this week we're talking about everything was great, and then I wrote the lineup. All right, my dad was a coach, and I'm telling you this because we had a lot of coaching discussions, and actually we still do, but he was a track coach, so I always thought his job was a little bit easier. The clock says whether or not you make it to the race or not. But although we know that winning a track meet isn't that easy, he and my uncle coached together. They had great state champions. They have lots of athletes going on to college and some even into professional careers. So lots of great discussions with my dad. But one story I remember him telling me was a story about a basketball coach. And this coach at the beginning of the game had all of his players out on the court. They're getting ready for the starting tip, and the referee looks at the coach and he says, hey, coach, you got to get, at least 6 of these players off the court. And the coach is like, no, we're good. Leave them all out there. And the players are sort of looking over the bench thinking, okay, what's going on? And the referee's like now getting a little frustrated. He's like, coach, you got to get your players off the court. And the coach is like, no, this is how we're going to play. Now the referee and the crowd and everybody sort of get into this. Referee's like, coach, if you don't get them off there, I'm going to start the game with a technical foul. Coach is like, okay. So the referee calls a technical foul, lines up the guy to shoot. Everybody else goes down to the other end of the court. All of them. Right? And the referee again is like, coach, you got to get these kids off the court. Coach is like, no. Then the referee finally, he's losing. He goes over and he's like, look, I'm going to give you another technical and then you're out of here. And right before that happens, the coach turns around and he looks up to the stands and he says, see, I told you everybody can't play. You might want to keep that in the back of your pocket. But the truth is that everybody can't play. And anymore, everybody plays by the time they get to us in college, right? They play there's a million teams, so everybody gets to play. In softball, there are like 12 kids on the team. So of course everybody's going to play because, one kid's hurt, one kid's not there, one kid's the extra pitcher. Everybody plays all the time. And then they get to college and they think they're going to play all the time. But there are 15 women's basketball players. There are 24 softball players, 10 play, maybe 9, 5 play basketball, obviously, unless you're that coach and he wants all 11 or 15 or whatever to play. What do we do with the kids that are unhappy because they're not playing? Right? And every kid on the bench is unhappy. Half the kids that are playing are unhappy because they're not playing the exact role that they want. What do we do? How do we help them improve? I didn't say make them happy. How do we help them improve? I've got a couple tips for you. First of all, we've got to help change perspective, right? The first thing we can do is keep them from catastrophizing. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to play all year. I'm not going to do this. I can tell you this. I wrote a lineup in the beginning of February, and it was never exactly the same in May, right? People get hurt. People don't perform. People are sick, whatever it might be. There are opportunities for people to get in games, right? We don't want our starting point guard to play 36 minutes of a 40-minute game. They're not going to be as good at the end when we need them. There are opportunities to play. Keeping in perspective, one day at a time. What is important that I do today that will prepare me in practice or prepare me on game day to get in if it happens? What can I do today, right? Have them write down one thing that they can do today that will help them keep perspective, to be present. Because what happens is we start thinking about what's going to happen. We are mad about what happened last week, and we're not present. The only thing we can influence is what's happening right now. I can't go 3 minutes into this right now. I have to be at this minute marker on the video. That's it. It's the same thing in our sport. What can I do today that will get me one step closer to possibly getting the role that I want? It's number one. Number two, getting to think about this, the power of yet. I'm not starting. I'm not shooting well. I'm not hitting well. I'm not pitching well yet. What does that do to our brain? It provides hope. It allows us to think that our work is not finished. It gets us out of that catastrophizing, that negativity bias, that everything's wrong. Right? It gets us thinking about what we can do, what we need to do, what is required of us to be a good teammate, no matter what our role. I'm not starting yet. That means I don't shut down. That means I look forward as opposed to being mad or irritated or whatever it is with coach or whoever's fault this is, right? It's somebody else's fault, of course. I'm not starting yet. And even if you talk to them like that, you're not starting yet. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You're not starting yet. Hope, thinking of the future. The other thing we can tie into both of these things is the power of visualization. Watching ourselves do what it is that we want to do. I just listened to a podcast with Lewis Howes, he does it's called The School of Greatness. I may have mentioned it before. He was a decathlete at Ohio State, was an All-American, but he did not like pole vaulting. He was scared of it. He didn't ever do it before. So he watched every night for 6 months. He watched somebody else pole vault, and he imagined himself doing it over and over and over. And he ended up nailing it when he needed to in the national championship or wherever it was to become an All-American. We can watch the person in our position play our position and imagine ourselves doing it to prepare ourselves against that defender or against that pitcher or against whatever it would be, so that when we do get out there, we're ready. We've been there already. Our confidence is boosted because we've already imagined it. We have a plan for what we would do. If she cuts that way, I would go this way, whatever it might be. If X, then Y, right? We are putting ourselves in the game. We are being engaged in the moment. We're present, engaged, learning from a different perspective, right? What can I learn from the bench that will help me when I get in there? Instead of being a victim, how can I find victory when I get out there? Instead of being bitter, how can I make myself better from this perspective? So I keep it one day at a time, one day or play at a time. I am not starting yet. And in both situations, I mimic or shadow or mental rep the person that's out there doing what I'm doing, whether it's a person that hits like me, I'm hitting in their position with them. The person that fields like me, I'm fielding in the person that shoots like me, the point guard, the four post, whatever it is, whatever sport you're playing, put yourself in that person's position and mimic them. Visualize yourself doing what it is that they're doing so you are ready. There's always something people on the bench can be doing. Whether you're coming out of the game because it's time for you to take a break, or whether you have too many fouls or whatever, and you've got to go back in, this is a great time for you to be able to think about what went well when I was out there. What do I need to do better? I'm going to look at that right now while I sit here. If I'm not in the game, instead of feeling sorry for myself, I could be prepping for what's to come. My opportunity is coming. I'm not starting yet. Today might be the day. What do I need to do today to get better for that chance? Changing our perspective on the lineup once it's written makes a difference on whether we're ever going to get in it or not. And if we can get our kids to understand that, our whole team's going to be better. If you'd like to talk about ways that your team can get better at these things, shoot me an email at juliej@ssbperformance.com. Check out my other blog and Mindset Made Simple tips at ssbperformance.com/blog. Until next week, have a great week. Enjoy writing your lineup and get everybody to understand how they can be invested in their role to make the team better. Take care.